Thanks very much, Teddy. Before we start this evening, I'd like to wish a very warm happy birthday to Teddy. And from all of us at
Happy birthday.
Happy
Thank you.
birthday.
Thank you so much, everybody.
And to thank Teddy and Aviva for putting together such amazing events. I mean, I really would love people to go and see. This is just one of so many different things that Telfed has to offer. So thank you to Teddy and Aviva for coming up with such amazing ideas and putting them together. So for those people who are joining us, I'm not sure if you know what Telfed is. I mean, you've joined us, and I hope you do. Telfed is the South African Zionist Federation, Israel. And we represent the South Africans in Israel, and we also do the Australian Aliyah. I'm not going to give you the whole shtick about what Telfed is. Today, I'm just going to give you my bracha. I feel very blessed to be the chairman of such an amazing organization, especially in a time now where there's a lot of darkness, that we've been able to bring some light to people who have really been down and out. So I think the South African community and the Australian community is very lucky to have an organization like Telfed to be a support in any way, not only financially, also mentally, psychologically, just to help people get through this difficult time. It's difficult for all of us. None of us has lived through a pandemic. And I'm just saying how grateful we really, really are. These are unusual times. Having said that, we would not be meeting like we are today had there not been a pandemic, because we would all be in our homes, lighting with our families, but not connecting with people all over the world, all over Israel and all over the world. So it's not all darkness. There's also some light in it. And I think it's very special that we've put together something like this, that we can light candles together, hear about the story of the Maccabim. Very proud to live in Israel, and just wanted to wish everybody a Chag Hanukkah Sameach in good health, and thank you for joining us this evening. And I'm looking forward to hearing Dr. Tuvia book.
Thank you so much, Batia.
Is Doron joining us? I don't see Doron.
I believe he's running a few minutes late. So for now, I'd like to hand over to Michael Stenger, one of our Modi-In committee members, regional committee members, who will be lighting the candles for us. So I hand over to you, Michael, and thank you so much.
Can you hear me all? Okay.
We certainly can. Thank you.
I had a bit of a technical problem because I had to move the Chanukah to where my computer is. So which is not the ideal place. So I hope there won't be any mishaps. Okay, so should I go ahead and start with the candle lighting? Okay.
Yes, please.
1 second, there's some background. Oh, the radio. Oh, sorry about that. There was some background music. Okay. I'll have to do it sitting down, but okay, fine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu mitzvotav tzivanu להדליק נר של חנוכה.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשה ניסים לאבותינו הימים ההם בזמן הזה.
Amen.
הנרות הללו על המדליקים, על הניסים ועל הנפלאות ועל התשועות ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו על ידי כהניך הקדושים בכל 8 ימי חנוכה. הנרות הללו קודש הם, ואין לנו רשות להשתמש בהם, אלא לראותם בלבד, כדי להודות לשמך הגדול, על ניסיך ועל נפלאותיך ועל ישועתך. Before we begin singing Maoz Tzu, I think that most of us were not brought up on all the verses of the Maoz Tzur. There are many, not the first and the last, and the verses all start with letters which make up the name Mordechai. Now we know Mordechai is from the story of Purim and not of Hanukkah. However, Mordechai is the name of the person who compiled the words to the song that we sing, Maoz Tzur. I think that if my memory serves me correct, it goes back to somewhere in the 10th or 11th century. He was just known as the Mordechai, a very prominent literary figure of those days. Okay, so can we sing it together? The first
Give it a bash.
Maoz Tzur Eshuati Echana El Shabeach Tikon Beit Tefilati V'sham Toda Nezabeach Leitachin Matbeach Mitzar HaMnabeach Az Egmor B'Shir Mizmor Hanukkah Mizbeach Az Egmor B'Shir
Mizmor
Hanukkah Mizbeach Yevanim V'Nichtetzu Alai Azai B'Yisrael Ufartzu Chomot Migdalai V'timu Kol Hashmanim
U'mitzarekanim Na'asam
Thank you. I'd like to just add one note. I'm a member of the Jerusalem Cantus Choir, and last night we had a direct broadcast from the Beit Knesset Ohel Nechama in Jerusalem of the candle lighting with the Chazan Yecheskel Klang together with the choir. And so you can still see it now if you go into YouTube under the or on Facebook under the Jerusalem Cantus Choir. So if you'd like an hour's concert in honor of Hanukkah, you're most welcome to go in and see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That sounds inviting. Thank you so much.
Bakasha.
So I'm just asking if our CEO, Doron, has joined us. Unfortunately, not yet. So again, a warm welcome to everybody. My name is Teddy Saitovitz. I'm a volunteer at Telford. For those who just joined up since we have already lit the candles, a warm welcome to you all. We're just about to start our virtual tour of Modi'in then and now with Dr. Tuvia Book. Tuvia, have you got everything you need? Did you get your thing? Did Aviva allow your permission? Is it all okay now? Welcome to you. Lovely to see you. I don't hear you at all if you're speaking Tuvia. Anyway, we're not yet 100% ready for you, Tuvia. I'm just wanting to ask if you're okay with all that, and I'm glad it works. So in the meantime, I wanted to officially introduce you, and then we will invite you to go ahead with your wonderful presentation. Thank you so much of giving of your time to the Telfed. It's really appreciated. So thank you. For all of those who have just joined us, Dr. Tuvia Book was born in London and raised in both the UK and South Africa. He made Aliyah at the age of 17 and served in an elite combat unit in the IDF. After discharge, he completed his BA at Bar-Ilan University and subsequently earned a graduate degree in Jewish studies. Tuvia is a licensed tour guide and has been working in the field of Jewish education, both formal and informal, for over 20 years, having guided and taught throughout Israel and Eastern Europe. He served as a shaliach for the Jewish Agency and works as a lecturer, educational guide at the Alexandra Nuss Institute for Israel Education, Bar-Ilan University, the Hebrew University, and the Tikva Fund. He is the author and illustrator of the internationally acclaimed Israel Education Curriculum for the Sake of Zion, a curriculum of the Israel Studies, Moral Dilemmas, and other books. Tuvia is currently writing a book on the Second Temple period, and the book will be published next year. Good luck with the book. Tuvia has a doctorate in Israel education. Thank you so much for joining us and giving of your time and sharing of Modi'in now and then. Thank you, Tuvia.
We don't hear you, Tuvia.
Just a few seconds of patience, guys. I'm sure it will all work in a few seconds. In the meantime, I'm looking for serviettes for all those donuts that I've eaten on my way in. Tuvia, have you a microphone? Are you using a microphone? Maybe you need to. Once again, apologies, guys. I'm sure it will be sorted in a few seconds. Again, apologies. In the meantime, if guys would like to just share with us, if any others have joined us from Modi'in. In the meantime, we had 3 or 4 from Modi'in before. And if you'd like to unmute yourselves for a second and tell us if there are any more viewers from Modi'in while Tuvia gets himself sorted.
Teddy, I know that our CEO, Doron Klein, has just joined us. Perhaps Doron should speak in the meantime. Does that
that's
work?
That's a wonderful idea. I didn't know he was here, thanks. So, yes, Tuvia, we will come back to you in a few minutes. Aviva will take you off in the meantime if you can unshare your screen, and we will welcome Doron. Apologies once again to everybody.
Shalom, everyone.
A warm welcome to Doron Klein, our CEO. How are you, Doron?
Shalom, Raka. Shalom, Teddy. And
wonderful.
Everybody, Hanukkah Sameach. And great to be here with you this evening. And I want a special thank you to Aviva and to Teddy, who worked so hard to put together all of our virtual events. And it's great to have so many volunteers and members of our community from all over the country and outside the country too. And a special thank you to Tuvia, who's going to be giving us some wonderful insights from the city of Modi'in, which is so connected to this festival. So Aviva asked me to say a few words about Hanukkah. and to give an introduction to the general introduction to the festival. So thank you for that, Aviva. And I wanted to relate to the festival of Chanukah and to look at Maimonides, who writes about Chanukah. And when Maimonides, in his laws of Chanukah, when he asks why we keep the festival, what was the reason for keeping the festival of Hanukkah? So Maimonides, who summarized the Talmud, he writes, the reason why I keep the festival of Hanukkah, and these are his words, Ki ha-malchut chazar le-Yisrael yeter al 200 shana. Because the independence, kingship, right, self-rule, because self-rule returns for more than 200 years. So that's quite amazing, because if you look at the self-rule that happened during Hanukkah, it was priests, Hasmonean priests, who took over the ruling class, right? Actually, the priests are not allowed to rule. They're not allowed to be kings. There was a separation between, we call it church and state, right? So priests were not allowed to be kings, yet they took the kingship for themselves. And this 200 years of their rule also includes the time that King Herod ruled, which was a very difficult time for the Jews. Not a very religious or a great part when it comes to observance of Judaism during Herod's time, very much connected to the Roman period. So, but nevertheless, with all these problems, with the fact that priests were allowed to be kings, with the facts that it included the time of Herod, nevertheless, we still celebrate. Why? Because we had self-rule for 200 years. That's why we celebrate Hanukkah. And I think when we look at the state of Israel today, there's many imperfections. And there's many things we can point to and we'd say, this is not right, and this could be better, and why are they doing it this way? And look at our rulers, and how could these be our example, for rulers of the nation of Israel? There's plenty of reasons to complain. Just like there were plenty of reasons to complain during the time of the Hasmoneans. Yet, it was made into this most wonderful festival, spreading light during the darkest time of the year. So we need to take a lesson from that, and we need to apply it to our times. And just as in those days, we celebrated 200 years of Jewish self-rule, even if it wasn't perfect. Well, we should certainly celebrate our self-rule, even if it's not perfect. And there's lots for us to fix, but we should be part of the fixing and not part of the complaining. So I want to say thank you again to Aviva and to Teddy, because they're helping us to be part of the fixing. I want to thank all of our regional volunteers who really work hard to welcome our Olim, to give them pre-Aliyah advice before they make Aliyah, to help them once they've arrived to settle in Israel, and to help ensure that they have a smooth absorption. All of this is part of the fixing, is of making Israel a better place. And really each one of us, when we come to Israel and we come to live here, we bring with us an amazing amount of values and culture that we bring from outside, from the diaspora into Israel. And we need to apply that. Each one of us can make Israel a better place. So we are part now of the modern celebration of Hanukkah, the modern celebration of celebrating the fact that sovereignty has returned to the Jews. Please God, it should be a lot more than 200 years, like it was in the time of the Hasmoneans. And we should know that even when things aren't perfect, and even when there's lots of things to fix, maybe even if your rulers aren't as they should be, and your priests are kings, and you have narcissistic rulers like King Herod, even so, there's still a lot to celebrate when we have our own self-rule. So let's take that message from Hanukkah, let's apply it to our own lives. Let's be proud and happy of the state of Israel, and let each one of us decide that we're going to light the candle that's going to spread a lot of light and make the state of Israel a better place for everybody. So Chanukah Sameach from all of us at Telfed to all of you. Please join us in our future events, and please be in touch with Aviva to volunteer, help us welcome in the Olim, be involved in Telfed, drop Aviva a line. If you're not getting our newsletter or our magazine, tell Aviva so she can update the database and be a part of this wonderful organization that makes sure that we can make Israel a better place and spread a lot of light. Thank you, and Hanukkah Sameach.
Thank you, Doron. Thank you. Tuvia, I understand we can hear that you've managed your technical issues. If that's okay, then we can
Hey, can you hear me
begin
now?
with Tuvia. We certainly can, and that's the miracle of Hanukkah.
Okay, well, miracle is I had an iPhone here. So, but I'm gonna, Teddy, I have to ask you to help me out in a second because I'm gonna show a clip in 10 minutes. You should show it from your film because it's not working on my computer.
Then you should send it to Aviva. Can you send it to Aviva's computer and she will show it from hers?
Yeah, so can you just give me a minute because I gotta send you the link.
No problem. We're here. It's okay.
Actually, I can start talking, and then when I finish, I'll take like a 30-second break. And I'll send Aviva the link because I can't multitask. Does that sound like a plan?
Okay.
Or should I send it now?
Aviva will send you her email by chat, and you can copy it from the chat. Can you do that, Aviva?
Tuvia, while you're getting ready and while you're sending stuff to Aviva,
You can introduce
I'll say a few words about Tuvia. So as you can hear from Tuvia and Tuvia's accent, right? So Tuvia and I go back many years, our days in Bnei Akiva, and also when we made Aliyah and we studied together at Bar Ilan University, also in the army at the same time. And Tuvia was a Hovesh Kravi, if I remember correctly, right? A combat medic in the Israeli army. And I was in charge of the Bar Ilan one-year program. So when I was looking for a medic, so I knew who to choose, right? So I always used to take Tuvia, and he used to come along with all of these American youngsters. And here we had a South African running the program, South African Ole running the program, and a South African Ole as their medic. It seemed that the South Africans were running Bar Ilan University. And Tuvia would come as the medic on all of our tours, looking after many young American tourists, many who all of a sudden developed hypochondriac sort of symptoms, I think mainly just because they wanted to spend some time with Tuvia. So he had a great impact on those youngsters. And besides being a medic, so you can see, I mean, Tuvia already has a doctorate in education. Besides being a medic, Tuvia is a born educator. And he was a Madrich in Bnei Akiva during our time as youngsters, and he continues to guide people around Israel and continues to spread the values, educational values of the Zionist dream. And from our days as youngsters, when Tuvia was much more than a medic, he was also adding a lot to the guides that were guiding these young American students around Israel. So Tuvia continues to do that. To go beyond, above and beyond what is required, just according to a syllabus about Zionism. Tuvia certainly adds a lot to that from his own personal experience in Israel. So it's Tuvia, always good to be working together as we did when we were youngsters, and nice to see you again.
All right. Thank you most kindly. All right, so I sent the link over to you guys. You should have it. For some reason, you can hear me on my iPhone, but not on the computer. So I'll be holding it up, so it might be a bit shaky. All right, let me put it in one place so it stays still. That's better. All right. Okay, so what we're doing tonight, Chag Sameach, everybody. You'll have to excuse my slight combination of accent between, I don't talk with a heavy South African accent because I have a bit of an English accent, but it's all good. So growing up in South Africa, both Don and I used to go to Mossel Bay every year to the Bnei Akiva camp. And in between all the devil's thorns and the shark net breaks on the beach, we would also learn a bit about Judaism and lots of singing with the great venerable Colin Shachat, who was in charge of Ruach at the time. And when we learned about Hanukkah, every Friday in the tuck shop, they used to sell cook sisters, like the old Afrikaans one, dripping with honey, really, really sweet. And for most of us, that was what we thought about Hanukkah. Lots of sticky, sweet food, lots of presents, and men in skirts and swords. it was very difficult to relate to. It's something that happened a long time ago in a place far away. I know I sound a bit like Star Wars, but that's what it sounded like to us. And here I am talking to you from Modi'in, the place where it all happened. So just a bit of a heads up. I'm going to talk to you guys, present for about 10 minutes. Then I'm going to show you a film that another South African and myself made, and we're going to take you on a virtual tour of Modi'in. But first of all, I'm going to give you the brief intro. So here I am where it all happened. And suddenly the Tanakh, or the post-Tanakh, because Hanukkah is actually the first Chag from a post-Tanakh, from Sifarim Chitzonim, the books of Maccabees didn't quite make the cut. So suddenly it's all real. It all becomes three-dimensional. Just yesterday, I took my cousin's Bet Knesset and we went on a tiul. Which tiul did we do? We went to a place you're going to see in the video, in the oldest Bet Knesset on the planet Earth, that just happens to be in Modi'in, and just happens to be from the time of the Maccabim themselves. So not only did they chill there and hang out and gather, but also the Jews carry on doing that. My own daughter had a bat mitzvah in this Bet Knesset, if you want to talk about continuation. And also just yesterday, we davened mincha in a place where Jews davened mincha 2,150 years ago. So it all becomes real when you're actually here. The other thing that we used to have a menorah. Everyone has a menorah on Hanukkah, and we used to sing a song called Al Hanissim. Some of you might remember it. Al Hanissim, V'al Hapokan, V'al Hagrurot, and that beautiful song. Of course, we didn't understand the words because we went to Jewish schools and we didn't know Hebrew. But when I got to Israel and actually went to the army and learned Hebrew, the key words there are Bayamim ha'em Bazman hazeh, in those days and in these days. So it's not just men in skirts and swords running around saving the Jewish people and keeping Israel safe. Today in Israel, both Doron and I were members of this particular elite group. We have Tzava Haganah Yisrael, or the IDF, and they're the modern Maccabees, and they run around making sure that our country's safe. The boys and girls are serving the IDF. Once I remember, and you're going to see this featured in the film, we're going to show you the real article right now because I have it in front of me. I brought some show and tell. We were doing Miluim, reserve duty in the desert, and like anything else in the army, it wasn't organized and went on a couple of days too long. And it ended up, we were there for the first day of Hanukkah, but nobody had brought a menorah. Some bloke, don't ask me why, brought a box of candles just in case. Don't ask me, but he had them. It was a miracle. And but we didn't have a menorah. So me being left-handed, meaning right-brained and creative, went around the field after live fire exercise and started collecting cartridges for the menorah. So eventually I collected 9. And we put the menorah in and it just plopped right in because they were too big. So then I had to go around to collect another 9 slightly smaller ones. And the result was, and I just happened to have it on me, ta-da, a real live IDF menorah made by the modern Maccabees. And we were sitting there in the desert, lighting up this menorah out of cartridges, singing the song by Amim Mahem Bazman Hazeh. In those days and these days, it suddenly got a lot more real and meaningful. And you'll see this featured in the Bet Knesset, in the movie we're about to see in a few minutes. My next show and tell is I had the privilege when I was in Bar Ilan of studying archaeology, and I studied with one of the greats, the late, great Hanan Eshel, who unfortunately passed away tragically young, and he was a world expert in the Bar Kokhba period, in the Second Temple period. And we used to go amazing classes with him as well, participated in digs. And I always wondered, what did a menorah look like that the Maccabees actually lit? And I happen to have on me, which you're going to see also in the movie, a menorah, an actual oil lamp, a lamp from the time of the Hasmoneans, a Hellenistic oil lamp, where the oil would go in over here in the main chamber, and the wick would come out over here. So you're going to see this in the film as well, but it's amazing to think the 8 of these would actually be an authentic Chanukiah. This is 2,200 years old, even older than me. So it's pretty incredible. All right. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you for show and tell before we actually start the film is the staple of a Chutz La'aretz Chanukah, and that is something in Yiddish called Hanukkah Geld, or Hanukkah money. So for most people, it's those gold or silver chocolate coins, which taste disgusting, and they're all badats, which is very important. But what I'm going to show you here in my hand is real Hanukkah geld, okay? These are actual coins from the Maccabees. This is a coin you're going to see in the actual movie of Alexander Yaneos, right? Look how small they are. This is a pruta, the smallest denomination. There's one coin here and another one here. And actually, I actually prepared a PowerPoint to show you, which I'm going to try and do it now on the other screen. So 10 of these prutot would buy a loaf of bread. So not a big denomination, but what is amazing is to be in Israel, holding a coin that Jews used 2,200 years ago, and it's incredible. Now, just to get a close-up on these two coins, I'm going to go now to my, if we can share screens, I'm going to go to my computer screen, show you the PowerPoint, but to use the audio on the phone. Very high tech. Okay, moving over here. Okay, can we? Okay, so can you guys, whoever's doing the text, switch over to shared screen? Okay, now I have to find it. Hold on 1 second. It's looking good so far. Hold on. Let me just get rid of everything else. Okay, and okay, excellent. So you'll see now on your screen, first bilingual coin. It should come up. Wait, where is it? A coin. No, it actually skipped now. 1 second. Just bear with me. Okay, I want to give you a close-up on these coins we're going to see in the presentation. Then we're going to start our actual presentation. So this coin you're seeing here is what I just showed you, but this is a close-up. By the way, if any of you really want to hold in your hand amazing, authentic Second Temple period coins, there's actually a South African Olair who lives in Mananafontein, and he has a company. His name is Jason, and has a company that actually sells these old coins. It's called templecoins.com. So you should go and check it out later and support a fellow South African Olair, and you can actually own yourself authentic Second Temple period coins. But what you see over here is a coin of Alexander Yanai. He is the first Hasmonean king who minted a coin that had on it in Greek, Basilios Alexandros, which means King Alexander, and in Hebrew, Hamelech Yonatan, which is his Hebrew name. Now, why is this not, that's what the first coin I showed you. There's also an anchor in the middle over here as well. So why is this a crazy thing? Because his grandfather was Shimon HaMaccabee. That means that his great-grandfather was none other than Matityahu, who was the guy who started the whole revolt here in Modi'in. Shimon was a brother of Yehuda. None of the brothers Maccabee died natural deaths. You know, things happened to them like getting crushed by elephants and killed by their son-in-laws and things like that. But Shimon was the only one who lived long enough to actually have kids. And his grandson minted a coin in Greek that says King Alexander. Why is that ironic? Quite simply, this is exactly what we're fighting against. We're fighting against the Greek influence, the coins in Greek, and he called himself king. Now, the Frumis, or the religious Jews, weren't very happy with this because, according to them, correctly, the only king has to be anointed by a prophet from God. And the exact Hellenism they fought against, and this coin comes up again. And just in case it's Greek to you and Greek to me and you don't understand, he also on the other side helpfully translated into Hebrew. This is Paleo Hebrew, Old Hebrew, Hamelech Yonatan. So the natives didn't like it. This is the coin of Pruta, it's bronze. That's what it says on it. And he also, like a true Hellenistic king, fought expansionist wars and expanded his kingdom. This is the way the Hasmonean kingdom looked, included what's today Jordan and Syria and a bit of Lebanon. So if they were around today, we wouldn't have a Middle East peace problem because we'd own the Middle East. And basically, they had this massive empire and called himself king, all the things against which they fought. So the people weren't very happy. So he had to mint another coin. And here's the other coin. And after this, we're going to skip on to our very entertaining film. So the second coin I showed you was this one. This one has on it two, they look like horns, not really horns, they're cornucopia, horns of plenty, not shofar. And on the back of it, it says, Yochanan Kohen Gadol Chaver Yehudim, Moetzet HaYehudim. Yochanan, the high priest and council of the Jews. Now, in case you can't read this, it's because you can't read Hebrew. This is actually Hebrew, but it's Paleo Hebrew. This is the first Hebrew they used in the time of the Bible, the first temple period. No one used it at this time, except for when they did patriotic things, they used it on the coins. And it's amazing to hold in your hand a real coin from Hanukkah. Suddenly, it's not just men in skirts and swords. It's real. You can actually go to a synagogue in Modi'in that the Jews sat in. And it's not just another pile of stones. It's not a history lesson or a her story lesson. It's our story as Jews, right? Not history or her story, our story. That's what the Mishnah teaches us. Know where you come from and know where you're going to. So it's an amazing zechut to be in Israel, a privilege, and to be able to actually not just look at an ancient site, but to pray and to sing and to dance and to learn in the same synagogue our ancestors sang and danced and prayed in over 2,000 years ago. And all of this, my friends, is in the modern Inn. And if you don't believe me, we're about to go on a journey right now by bike and by foot. And I'd like to thank, before we press the video, first of all, Telfed for hosting this event. And my good friend Doron, the CEO of Telfed. He's certainly gone up a lot since Gurim camp. We are also, I'd love to really give a big, big thanks to my friend Shmuel Chantal, who we made this video together. He did all the editing, amazing editing. Both of us are licensed tour guides in Israel, or should I say currently unemployed licensed tour guides in Israel, as well as Jewish educators. And we also guide South Africans who live in Israel. And our details are available from Telfed afterwards. So Shmuel and I both are in this film. He made it, he edited it, and we're now going to go on a 10-minute ride through modern Inn, looking for ancient Inn. And I hope you guys will enjoy the adventure. And if any of you want to afterwards check it out again, it's available on Shmuel's YouTube channel, The Running Tour Guide. And I also have a YouTube channel, which is Tuvia Book. So you can check out more of our adventures. What we do every week is we scoot out and for you guys and go off the beaten track and film it and educate you guys about the stuff you don't normally see in Israel. So enjoy, have a Chag Sameach. And now someone's going to switch to the video, right? Tech people.
So Tuvia, if you would like, you could play it on your computer and use the sound from your iPhone, if you'd like.
I think you can play from your computer, I think. Do you want to try that? Because for some reason my sound doesn't work on the computer. I don't know why.
All right, we'll see how the sound goes. Let me know if the sound isn't good from where I'm playing it from.
Okay. So I'll go off the share screen.
Shalom, good morning. Shmuel, the running tour guide. Today going to be a biking guide for you so that we can cover more ground. Friends, I've just met Dr. Book. On the way, we're in the modern city of Modi'in. We're going to shed some light on the story of Hanukkah. We're heading to some fascinating places.
We're in Modi'in, so I think we should go to Modi'in.
Makes sense. All right, let's do it. Yalla. Alrighty, we're en route. We're crossing the railway line. Look behind us, a beautiful park called Anabe. Stay tuned for the view. Stunning. Love my home. This is a central park. Just a 5-minute bike ride, and here we are. We're on the southern outskirts of Modi'in, rooted in the times of the Maccabees. That's what we're dealing with today, the times of the Hashmonaim.
The small site that we're standing right now over here is dated from pottery shards
to more or less the time of the Hasmonean dynasty. That is the 1st century before the Common Era.
If we think of Matityahu and we think of his sons Yochanan, Yonatan, Yehuda, Elazar, Shimon, very probable they would have come to a site like this, be it a house of gathering, be it a place where the communities met, be it a place that people would pray.
Not just about the stones, it's about the people. It says very clearly in the Torah and the Bible, Tivnu li mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham. Build me a temple, a holy place, I will dwell in them. It's a people that make it holy. And these stones over here look like a pile of stones. But this Shabbat Chanukah, they're going to come alive. When modern day Jews, the descendants of those very Maccabees that lived here 2 millennia ago, are going to come and do the Friday night Shabbat Hanukkah service in this very spot where Jews prayed and laughed and sang and studied 2 millennia ago.
That's it. Tomorrow, see you here.
Get much more symbolic than this. What you can see over here is a menorah, but not just any old menorah, a very special menorah sitting on the stones of this synagogue from the time of the Hanukkah story itself, the Maccabees. This menorah, as you can see, is made out of cartridge cases, which I collected during my IDF service. And it so happened we were in the middle of the desert, it was Hanukkah, no one had a menorah because we were doing maneuvers. And basically, someone had brought the candles, but there was no menorah. So I went around after a live fire exercise, collected the cartridge shells, and made a menorah out of it. And what the symbolism there, the big prayer we say on Hanukkah, it's called Al HaNisim, about the miracles. And one of the lines is Bayamim Hahem Bazman Hazeh, in those days and these days. In those days, Jews rose up to defend Judaism and the Jewish homeland. In these days, we have the IDF, the modern Maccabees, who defend our homeland and our values and keep Zionism and Judaism alive for Jews in the Jewish homeland. This menorah, even though it's an ancient symbol, is made up of the symbols of the modern Maccabees. Right next to it, in front of it, we have an oil lamp from the time of the Hanukkah story as well. It's in lamps like this. This is a Hellenistic oil lamp from 2,100 years ago, with the original soot over here. And 2,000 years ago, this is the way lamps would have looked. They would have been lit by olive oil in the temple and in everyone's houses. Finally, one of the big symbols of Hanukkah is Hanukkah geld, which means money in Yiddish. What I have over here is the actual Hanukkah geld. These 2 small coins over here were minted by none other than Alexander Yaneus. Now his Hebrew name was Yochanan. And on one side of this coin here, this is a 2,100-year-old coin minted between the years 103 and 76 BCE. And you can see over here there's an anchor, a picture of an anchor, because they also had a trading kingdom. And some letters here, it looks like Greek to you and Greek to me, because it is Greek. And what it says over here is Basilius Alexander, King Alexander. And on the other side, there's a picture of a star, a wheel of a star, and it has on it in Hebrew, in ancient Hebrew script, Melech Yonatan, King Jonathan. That was his Hebrew name, and you can see the ancient Hebrew mem over there. Now this coin caused a huge amount of controversy because he called himself king, and according to the religious Jews, only God's prophet could anoint a king. And until Alexander Yaneus, no one had called themselves king. It caused so much trouble, he had to mint another coin. And the second coin he minted has on it 2 cornucopia, horns of plenty over here. On the other side, in ancient Hebrew, there's an inscription that says, Yochanan, that's the Hebrew name, Chaver Motzet Yodim, a friend of the Jewish council. And the second coin does not mention anything to do with being a king. So it's pretty amazing how coins have a historical value, and also you can feel an energy to know that the great-grandson of Matityahu, of Mattathias, from Modin, where we're sitting right now, minted these coins. So this is the real Hanukkah geld. This guy's great-grandfather actually revolted against the Seleucids.
Thank you so much for the Hanukkah geld.
The coin of phrase.
Folks, I'm going to be posting a link where you can actually purchase these Second Temple coins and also read about some symbolic modern coins that are being minted with historical events that are taking place in our times. Living, feeding Israel. Such a coin like this something you don't do every day, and especially in a historical site where these coins were traded. Escadol Hayat Ball. Literally, yeah. See you tomorrow night at the shore. Okay, right next to the Beit Knesset, the House of Gathering, we have a ritual bath from the period of the Second Temple. Beautifully hewn stones here underneath the shul, underneath the Beit Knesset. You can see my rolling plaster and even some water from the last rains out of the bottom. Not sure if you can see. Beautiful, fresh, and it's time to head to the bathhouse. Let's go. Crossed over the Ayalon Valley and we've entered the Ayalon Forest. And here we have a fantastic example of an oil press, the Rolling Stone.
Original Rolling Stones, their first performance in Israel 2,000 years ago. And this thing over here is a black olive. All around me are olive trees. According to descendants, those very same olive trees were here 2,000 years ago. It was a major source of income. Olives were very useful for many things. For oil lamps, for soap, for cooking, for kindling. There was no end to the use of olives. And guess what? The greatest superpower of the day, Egypt, did not have indigenous olive trees. So Judea used to import a lot of its olive oil to Egypt, all throughout the Roman Empire, in fact. So there was a massive industry of olive pressing, which led to the wealth of Judea. And it was very simple, the process. They would get out little olives, they would put them underneath these stones over here, and then they would be tied to an animal who would just literally walk around, and the stone would crush. And this is just the first stage. Once the olives were crushed, they would then take the crushed olives and put them in baskets and go for second pressing as well.
So what did you feeling depressed?
I don't think I just said that.
We're going a little bit off the beaten track here. Forrest? Spot that I'll get you for that.
בתוך התא של האוטו, לא, הם לא צריכים את זה.
Of the culture of right here.
Viva, can you try and meet Julia?
Right outside the city of Modi'in, taking us back to the Roman times. Nice. Very cool. Aren't you glad we found this? Beautiful octagonal shaped pool. Check out the water system here. Right, that's right now moving. Master architecture. Here we are, folks, one of the most well-preserved Roman bathhouses in the Promised Land, in the Holy Land. Hold on a second. We're dealing with Hanukkah. What's this got to do with the Maccabees? These were the Romans.
Okay, so what Hanukkah really was a culture camp, was a culture war between the Judaic values and Hellenistic values. And Rome was the up and rising power at the time of the Maccabees. In fact, Judah the Maccabee made a treaty with Rome against the Seleucids. So the Romans were definitely around at the time. And the Romans also adopted Hellenistic practices, that is worship of the external beauty, appearances count, don't look at the beauty within, only the beauty without. And the epitome of this was the Roman bathhouse. the Roman bathhouses where people went, just like in Hellenistic times, all the athletic competitions were in your birthday suit, because it was the worship of the external human body. So in order to look good and to preen yourself, you went down to the local bathhouse. That was a Hellenistic hangout. And each Roman bathhouse was built in the same way. And here it's very clear to see there was 3 main rooms. The room we're standing in right now was actually called a tepidarium, the Latin word tepid, warm. And underneath the floor, you could see these original Roman bricks where heated hot air would flow onto the floor just to warm this room up, not to make it super hot, but just to keep it warm. Once you were pleasantly warm, you proceed into the next room to get yourself in the Roman bath mood. And here there's no underground heating. This was just cold water coming from the local springs. This was the plunge pool where you were dunking. This was just freezing cold water. And once you had that experience of freezing cold water, you would then go to the biggest chamber of the whole bathhouse, what was known as the caldarium. You went from the tepidarium to the frigarium to the caldarium. So over here behind, you can see part of the Roman brickwork over here. Here there's a Roman arch, and this arch of brickwork would support the floor level, which is up to the threshold behind you over there, Siobhan. You'd have slaves from outside the building lighting up fire. And that would heat the floor, and then there would be pipes also going up as well, the wall itself. It would be a superheated room where you would basically what we call today the schwitz, or the hot room. And there you would lie on the side in this hot water, and your slaves would come and they would scrape your sweat off, and you would massage you with oil, and basically it was a very hedonistic, Hellenistic experience.
Okay, folks, hope you enjoyed that run around Modi'in and seeing some of the sights, experiencing the period of the Hashmonaim. We're going to leave you here from the home of Hellenism. We're heading home, ready to celebrate a wonderful festival of light. Light is what we need. Boy, oh boy, if there ever was a period of history that we've got to spread the light, we're happy to do it. You can see Modi'in just in that light, a sense of hope. You saw the beautiful modern Modi'in. So with that, Dr. Tuvia Book, Shmuel Chantal, we're wishing you a Chag Hanukkah Sameach. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Check out the train bridge. This is the high-speed train between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. It'll be in 28 minutes. How beautiful.
Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, 28 minutes. Wow. Wow. Eh? Who would want to go by car under those circumstances?
Modi'in, a city that is rebuilt, never more to be uprooted again. Chag Sameach. Hope you enjoyed that 25-kilometer run around in the ways of the Maccabees. Shabbat Shalom. Peace.
Yeah, Sam, you worked as a park ranger for 2 years in Kruger, right?
Correct.
So you know all the Latin names for everything?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so what's the Latin name for that?
Fungus.
Okay. Guys, Chag Sameach, everybody.
Thank you, Tuvia. We're not running away so quickly because thank you so much for sharing that fascinating information and your efforts and Shmuel's efforts. We do really appreciate it. I know that there's some questions I want to ask, and I'm sure somebody else also would like to ask a question. So my question is about the ancient coins. Is it legal for people to own those coins? And is it a good investment if yes?
Can you hear me? So I'm speaking on my iPhone now. Hold on.
I think we should leave and see if we.
In the meantime, I'll just let you know we're going to finish with the questions to Tuvia, and then Aviva's going to move on to inviting all her regional communities, a representative from each community, to say one or two words about their specific community. Tuvia, are we back to you? You're
Can you
on
hear me
now.
now?
Yes, certainly. Great.
Okay, good. So about the coins, can you hear me fine, by the way, guys?
You have an echo, so.
Then I'm going to see if I can get off this. 1 second. Is that better?
He's got two things on. He's got two.
No, not so. Do you have your something else on a phone and the computer? That's probably the reason.
Okay, now it's good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Got it. All right. So about owning the coins, that was your first question, Teddy, right?
Yeah, owning the coins.
Okay, so of course in Israel, it's illegal to actually take antiquities from a site, but there's a legal way to get coins, and that is to buy from a licensed dealer. There are a lot of coins around in Israel. For example, on Masada, they found 3,000 Pruta coins from the revolt, which say on them the Chewut Zion, the freedom of Zion. They're very amazing to have. And I mentioned there's people that actually sell these coins from legitimate antiquities dealers. In Ranana, there's the guy Jason, and his website is templecoins.com. And they're not that expensive, but what is cool is you're actually touching history. And that's the legitimate way to get them. You get them with a certificate, they're licensed by the Israeli government, and they're official antiquities dealers.
Okay. So we invite you guys to unmute yourselves and ask questions, or if anybody would like to ask through the chat, that's also a possibility.
Okay, so let me know if there's any questions, if you can read them.
If there are so far, there aren't any. Everybody was extremely satisfied with the presentation and enjoyed it a lot.
Excellent.
So again, thank you very much. I'm glad that your mother joined us. We are very lucky to have our mothers. My mother's also joined us on this event. Her name's Sheila, and she joins us for all the events that the Telford puts on. If anybody else would like to share for a moment something else, if not, we're moving over to Aviva, and she's going to invite her regional committees to take part. Thank you again so much, Tuvia. Till the next time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Tuvia Book. Thank you for your time and the excellent presentation. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach. So I just, and contact details, I will send out, if you want to put in the chat, or I can send your contact details in an email to all those who participated.
Okay, it's just my name. It's tuviabook.com is my website. And my email is the same thing, tuviabook@gmail.com. It's easy just to get me by email, tuviabook@gmail.com. My website, tuviabook.com, has all of the different tours and talks, and I also do art as well, Ketubot and Jewish art as well. You'll see all that on the website. And to actually contact me directly, spread it by email, tuviabook, TUVIABOOK @gmail.com.
Wonderful, thank you.
Pleasure. All right.
So since we're all gathered here on a special Chag like Hanukkah, we really wanted to take the opportunity, like Teddy said in the beginning, and Ron mentioned, to thank all of the regional volunteers, the community and Telfed as an organization. It is what it is because of the volunteers that we have. So we do have online some of our regional representatives. Not everyone could join us tonight, but I'd just like to hand over to say a word or two about their region maybe something unique about their region, something special, and if can also give a bracha to everybody for Hanukkah. So alphabetically, the first person I have on my list here is Barbara Klingman from Zichron Yaakov. Barbara, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome, Barbara. Thank you for joining us. I know we haven't had too many Olim to Zichron, but you've definitely, helped us out in the past and been involved in welcoming the Olim.
Yes,
Maybe
I
you
have.
could tell us about Zichron and a bracha for Hanukkah.
Well, Zichron it's a special place. It's got a lot of history, and everybody participates in the history. You go into the museum and you see these wonderful pictures of all the original founders, and then somebody says, oh, so-and-so, oh, his great-grandfather was the founder here, and the pictures are all there, and people are very proud. They're very proud to be, in fact, there's a lovely story. Somebody said, they say if you Ole or La Hadash or whatever. So somebody said, the story goes that man was selling, on the Midrachov, he was selling eggs. So they said, oh, where about? He said, he's an Ole Hadash. Oh, really? So how long has he been here? Maybe about 35 years. So you have to be from the ancient to be regarded as a Zichronite. But apart from that, people are very community orientated, and the people that you have put me in touch with, I always contact them over the Chagim. That Dave, who came from he was originally Australian, and also Alan Hershowitz and his wife, who she was actually Doron maybe, but she was, do you remember her from Yeshiva? She was Ilana Bernard. Do you remember her? Yeah. I asked Ronelle, my daughter, whether she said she must have been a bit ahead of me. So, but these are people that, I'll tell you such an incredible story. I was at the hairdresser, and my children, my daughter and son-in-law, were in Gallo Manor, and their Kehillah was the late Rabbi Kranus, who sadly just passed away recently. And this woman walked in, and I could hear she was American. And I said, oh, how long have you been here? She said, about 5 years. Oh, we were chatting and all that. And I said, gosh, where are you from? And she said, Texas. So I said, gosh, that's amazing. I said, I know 2 people in Texas. I said, they're the parents of my daughter's, the Rebbitzin of their Kehillah. Oh, she said, that's interesting. So what are their names? So I said, well, she's Nechama. And this woman said, you mean Naomi? I said, well, I know her maiden name was Chapman. Oh, my word. She says they were our neighbors, and her daughter used to babysit Naomi. And I said, I can't believe this. I'm in a tiny town in Zichron, in the north of Israel, and I'm sitting in a very ordinary hairdressing salon, and you walk and you say, the Chapmans. I said, it's unbelievable. She said, yes, it is, because you know how big Texas is. So that's one of the stories that is like totally amazing. And there was another girl that came. You spoke to me, and I said, I met her. How did I meet her? My son was walking me home one Friday night, and we were talking, and there was a couple walking on the other side and said, oh, you must be South Africans. Yes, we are. And this was she'd come from Port Elizabeth, and she'd actually contacted my son-in-law because he was from Port Elizabeth. And then I said to him, oh, I've met your friend. He said, what friend? I said, you were at school together or something. He said, how did you meet her? I said, well, we were walking back, and Terence was walking me home on the Friday night, and this couple were walking up, and they just said, oh, you must be South African. So I want to tell you, in a town like Zichron, it's quite amazing. It's not just Jewish geography. It's like incredible. The stories that you meet, and you think to yourself, how did I meet a woman from Texas in a little hairdressing salon in a small town in the north of Israel who actually knew Nechama Kranus? That her daughter babysat, and she knew the parents and everything else. These are some of the amazing stories, and there was a wonderful old man here. The shul was his whole life. He had a little cafe. He was from the original Romanians that came to Zichron Yaakov, actually. And he was the most amazing character. And I once said to him, I didn't know him at that stage, I said, do you speak English? And he turned around and he said to me, what are you talking about? I was here in the British Mandate. Of course I speak English. So, characters, amazing characters.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you so much. And thank you for all that you do for Telfed and for being with us this evening.
You know how I got here? I got here by mistake, because when I made Aliyah, the first thing my son said to me was, oh, I'm so glad you're here. So I said, really? He says, yes, because now you can be the Telfed volunteer. I'm too busy.
Well, thank you, Barbara. We appreciate you.
Upon me.
Thank you, Barbara. I see next on the list we have Beryl. Beryl's joining us, our Rishon LeZion volunteer. Beryl, are you there? Beryl? Beryl, are you with us?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Beryl. We don't see you.
I don't know why. Nothing to look at. Don't worry about that, as long as you can hear me. Hi, everybody. Chag Chanukah Sameach, and welcome to Rishon LeZion. Very happy to have you and see you all. Rishon is the 4th biggest city in Israel, the most amazing city to live in. Coastal gardens, parks. Please come and visit us. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you, Beryl. And do you have a Hanukkah bracha for everyone?
Just wish everybody health, happiness, and that we get out of this corona very quickly.
Amen. Thank you, and thank you for all the wonderful work that you do.
And thank you to you, to all of you.
Thank you, Beryl. Chanukah Sameach. Next on my list, we have Roy Sher, our Jerusalem Regional Chairman. Hi, Roy.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Chanukah Sameach, Chodesh Tov. Nice to see you all there. Firstly, to Tuvia and to Shmuel, what an amazing presentation. Original idea, I loved it very much. Kol hakavod to you guys. Jerusalem is I guess, besides Rwanda, the biggest region with the Olim from South Africa. And it's just amazing to be in touch with Vatikim, but also this recent Olim, where the interesting thing about recent Olim is the moment I contact them, many people show interest in joining our committee and volunteering soon after I've arrived, be it 2 months, 6 months down the line, new Olim already giving back, which is so exciting and inspiring. And I'm a Vatik. There's Rat Hashem in 2 weeks' time. I'm celebrating 41 years of Aliyah and 10 years joining Telfed. And I want to thank Telfed's volunteers and Telfed's leadership and staff for giving me the opportunity of giving back to society. So my bracha is that everybody should continue in good health and happiness. And I think our biggest missima, in my opinion, is to encourage our fellow South Africans to come home. The future is here. Let's talk positive. This is the future. Come on.
Thank you so much, Roy, and thank you for all the amazing things that you do for Telfed. You're a blessing. You're all a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Tracy Room, our Modi'in Regional Chairman. Tracy, are you there?
Yeah, hi, everybody. Just want to say well done. It was lovely, and we're hoping to get a tour going in Modi'in where we can be taken around by our amazing tour guides, Tuvia and Sam. So I hope you will all join us when we get that together. And just great to be a part of a bigger organization. It was great to speak to some of the other regional chairs and just sort of talk about what they're doing and what we can do better and how we can help our new Olim. We've got 4 families here this month alone, and it's really special and exciting. And our new Olim and our old Vatikim are coming together to just help everybody to integrate and to make their journey of Aliyah so much more special. And thank you to everybody at Telfed for the support that they're giving us. And yeah, it's really great to have this online situation. Thank you. Chag Sameach. And may we all be blessed for a year ahead full of light, Chodesh Tov, and Chanukah Sameach.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Chanukah Sameach. I think that's everyone I had on my list. Please unmute yourself if I left anyone out of our regional representatives. Again, thank you to all of you for your amazing work. And to conclude, I know Doron just had one more word to say.
Thank you very much, Aviva. So again, I wanted to give special thanks to Aviva and to Teddy for arranging these wonderful virtual events. Please check on our website for the events that are available still in December, and there'll be more events continuing in January. So please join this lovely virtual Telfed community that's grown to well over 1,500 participants since we started with our virtual events. So kol hakavod to the two of you. And again, a big thank you to Tuvia and to Samuel for educating us more about the amazing aspects of Hanukkah in the city of Modi'in. They did mention, both Tuvia and Sam spoke about Hanukkah Geld. So if you are looking for a worthy organization to donate to for Hanukkah as we come towards the end of this financial year, so please consider Telfed as an organization that supports over 400 needy Olim every month, and an organization that provides the Klita services, the employment advice, subsidized housing, and over last year, 500 scholarships that were handed out to students. So a very active organization, and one that I think certainly deserves your Hanukkah Geld if you're looking where to donate for this special festival. So as I said, as I spoke before, please continue spreading the light. Each one of us really is a candle, and a small amount of light can dispel a lot of darkness. So to each one of you, I wish you a happy Hanukkah, a Chodesh Tov. Tonight is Rosh Chodesh Tevet. A good month, a healthy month ahead, and may we continue meeting in good health with big smiles at the Telfed virtual events. And please God, soon also, now that the vaccination is on its way, maybe soon also meet again at the face-to-face events. Thank you to you all. Hanukkah Sameach and Chodesh Tov.
Doron, thank you for the wisdom and blessings. I just want to invite everybody personally to the upcoming events. Monday, the 20th of December at 8 p.m., Laurie Shochet and his experience in Angola. Tuesday, the 22nd at 8 p.m., Past MK Dov Lipman on honest reporting. And the grand finale for this year, Sunday, the 27th of December at 8 p.m., Cindy Klein with our Tanzanian safari. So please stay with us and hope to see you all then. Thank you for joining us all, and Chag Sameach to everybody. Bye for the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michael, for the beautiful singing and candle lighting, and thank you all for joining us.
And it's lovely to see your face. Now I know what you look like.
Yes, face to face.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, everyone. Be well, good health, and Chanukah Sameach.
Chanukah Sameach.